As they entered the bedroom, a faint shadow moved quickly across the wall at the far end of the hall. It wasn't shaped like a person. It didn't resemble anything solid at all. It simply glided, then disappeared around the corner toward the stairs. And seconds later, downstairs, the basement motion ball lit up bright red. Once. Then went dark again. Marissa looked at the others, her voice barely above a whisper. It followed us up. And somewhere below them, in the silent dark of the basement, something shifted again. But this time, it sounded closer to the stairs. The basement that fought back. There's a difference between a house that feels old and a house that feels occupied. The Whitmore house had crossed that line sometime after 1:30 a.m. The 4 members of Night Watch Files stood frozen at the top of the staircase, staring down into the darkness below. The basement motion ball had lit up on its own, triggered while all of them were upstairs. No one laughed this time. No one offered a rational explanation. Aaron adjusted his grip on the camera. Okay, we go down together. Marissa nodded. No splitting up. The staircase groaned under their weight as they descended. With each step, the temperature seemed to drop another degree. By the time they reached the bottom, their breath was faintly visible in the beam of the camera light. The motion ball sat exactly where they'd left it. Dark. Still. Harmless looking. Devin checked the recorder timestamps. It lit up at 1 hour 29 minutes and 42 seconds. Stayed on for 3 seconds. Lila folded her arms tightly. That was right after the shadow moved upstairs. Aaron crouched near the ball, inspecting the floor around it. No strings. No debris. Nothing touching it. Marissa scanned the basement slowly. If you followed us down here, can you do that again? Silence. Then, a dull thud echoed from somewhere deeper in the basement. Not from the open area where they stood. From the far storage room separated by a narrow doorway and partial wall. All 4 heads turned at once. That didn't sound small, Devin whispered. Aaron swallowed. It sounded heavy. Marissa stepped forward. We're coming in. The storage room. The storage room had no windows. Just stone walls, old shelves, and a rusted furnace in the corner. As they entered, Aaron swept the flashlight beam across the shelves. Boxes sat stacked unevenly. Old jars lined the back wall. A wooden chair rested upside down on a table. Nothing appeared disturbed. Until Devin pointed. Look at that. One of the boxes on the top shelf was tilted forward at an unnatural angle, balanced on its edge. Aaron frowned. Was that like that earlier? No, Lila said immediately. Everything was flat. The box shifted. Just slightly. A small scraping sound echoed as cardboard rubbed against wood. Everyone stepped back instinctively. It's probably unstable, Aaron said quickly, though his voice lacked conviction. The box rocked again, then snapped upright, balancing sharply on one corner. Not falling. Not sliding. Holding itself in a position that defied simple gravity. Marissa's breathing grew shallow. Okay, that's not normal. Before anyone could move, every object on the shelf rattled at once. Glass jars vibrated. A metal tool slid sideways. Dust fell in thin clouds from above. The wooden chair in the corner tipped slightly, then slammed flat against the table. The sound cracked through the room like a gunshot. Devin yelped. That's enough. That's enough. Aaron kept filming, though his hands trembled. This is all on camera. The box finally dropped, hitting the ground with a heavy thud. Silence followed. Thick. Oppressive. Then footsteps. Not theirs. Above them. Running across the floor, overhead. Fast. Light. Almost playful. Lila's face went pale. It sounds like a kid. The running stopped directly above the basement stairs. And then, 3 deliberate knocks echoed from the basement door at the top of the staircase. Knock. 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 All 4 investigators stared upward. That door was open, Aaron said quietly. It wasn't anymore. From their angle below, they could see the wooden basement door now fully shut. None of them had closed it. The door. They approached the stairs slowly. Each step creaked louder than before. When they reached the top, Marissa reached for the handle.
Locked.
Aaron blinked. That doesn't lock from this side. Devin tested it again. It wouldn't budge. From the other side of the door came a faint dragging sound, like something heavy being pulled across the floor. Lila's breathing quickened. Is someone in the house? No one else's keys, Aaron replied. The dragging stopped. Then a soft humming began. The same tone they'd heard upstairs earlier.
Low.
Rhythmic.
Close.
It seemed to come from directly on the other side of the door. Marissa leaned closer. If someone is physically here, this isn't funny. The humming grew slightly louder. Then a childlike voice.
Faint.
Almost whispering. Stay. The word was clear enough that all four heard it. Devin backed down one step. Nope. Absolutely not. Aaron slammed his shoulder into the door. It didn't move. Marissa gripped the handle again. On 3. They pushed together. The door burst open. The upstairs hallway beyond was completely empty. No footsteps. No humming. No movement. Just stillness. But the upstairs hallway camera, still recording, had captured something they didn't witness in the moment. As they forced the basement door open, a faint shadow stretched across the far wall. Not cast by them. It moved opposite their direction, gliding toward the living room. And as it passed, one of the picture frames hanging in the hallway tilted sideways on its nail. Not falling. Just turning slightly. As if someone had brushed past it. The living room incident. They regrouped in the living room, nerves visibly shaken. Aaron reviewed footage while Marissa tried to keep the team calm. We document. We don't react emotionally, she reminded them, though her voice trembled. Suddenly, Devin stiffened. Did anyone just touch my back? No, Lila said quickly. Devin turned pale. Something brushed my shoulder. Before anyone could respond, the chandelier above them began to sway. Slow at first. Then wider. Crystals clinked softly together. There's no wind, Aaron whispered. The front door was closed. All windows were shut. The chandelier's movement grew more aggressive. Not falling, but swinging in deliberate arcs. Back. And forth. And then, every loose object on the coffee table slid inward at the same time. A notebook. A flashlight. A battery pack. All pulling toward the center as if drawn by invisible hands. Lila gasped. That's impossible. Before they could process it further, the objects launched outward violently. The flashlight clattered across the floor. The notebook smacked into the wall. Batteries scattered in all directions. Devin stumbled backward. We need to leave. Aaron kept filming, breath ragged. This is poltergeist-level movement. Marissa stared at the staircase. At the top, in the darkness beyond the railing, something stood. Not solid. Not fully formed. But darker than the surrounding shadows. Still. Watching. She blinked, and it was gone. Did anyone else see? A deafening crash interrupted her. From the kitchen. They turned simultaneously. The sound of glass shattering echoed through the house, followed by the unmistakable scrape of something sharp sliding across tile. Marissa's voice dropped to a whisper. It doesn't want us here. Another slow knock echoed from somewhere deeper inside the house. This one wasn't playful. It wasn't curious. It was deliberate. And closer than before. The temperature plummeted. Aaron checked the reader. 48 degrees. It was 62 when we came in. The air felt tight. Hard to breathe. The house wasn't just active anymore. It felt aware. Aware of them. Aware of their fear. And growing stronger because of it. From upstairs came the sound of small, quick footsteps running once more. But this time, they weren't above them. They were moving across the ceiling directly overhead. Following them. The house that wouldn't let go. By 2:17 a.m., the Whitmore house no longer felt abandoned. It felt occupied. Not in the way an intruder occupies a space. Not with footsteps and breathing and shifting floorboards. This was different. This felt like the house itself had woken up. Aaron stood in the center of the living room, chest rising too fast, camera still rolling. The red recording light blinked steadily, indifferent to the tension suffocating the room. Above them, the ceiling creaked again. Small footsteps.
Quick.
Back and forth. Directly overhead. Lila's voice trembled. It's matching where we stand. She was right. When Devin shifted left, the running shifted left. When Marissa stepped back toward the hallway, the sound adjusted. It was tracking them. Aaron forced steadiness into his tone. We need one last sweep upstairs. Then we're out. No one argued. The return upstairs. The staircase felt narrower than before. As they climbed, the air grew heavier, like humidity without heat. Their equipment flickered intermittently. The EMF reader spiked, dipped, then flatlined entirely. Halfway up, Devin froze. Do you hear that?
Faint.
Almost below hearing. Whispering. Not loud enough to form words, but layered. Multiple tones overlapping in hushed rhythm. Lila shook her head slightly. It's like it's under the sound of the house. They reached the landing. The hallway stretched before them, dimly lit by a single battery lantern they'd left earlier. Every door that had been open was now closed. Every single one. Marissa swallowed. We left them open. Aaron nodded once. All of them. The lantern flickered, then steadied, then flickered again, weaker this time. A soft knock came from the far bedroom. 3 taps. Slow. Measured. Devin whispered, "It's copying what it did downstairs." Another knock, this time from the bathroom door beside them. Then another from the attic hatch overhead. They were surrounded by it. Marissa stepped forward. We're leaving now. The whispering grew slightly louder. And clearer. Stay. The word floated through the hallway like breath against glass. Lila shook her head firmly. Nope. Aaron backed toward the stairs, but stopped. At the top of the staircase stood the same shadow Marissa had glimpsed earlier. Only now it wasn't retreating. It was closer. Still not fully solid, but unmistakably shaped.
Tall. Narrow.
Head tilted slightly to one side. Watching them. No eyes visible. Just absence. The lantern went out completely. Darkness swallowed the hallway. The voice in the dark. Aaron's camera night vision kicked in automatically, casting everything in pale green. The shadow remained. Now clearer through infrared. It wasn't attached to the wall. It wasn't cast by anything. It stood independently at the top of the stairs. And then it moved. Not stepping. Gliding. Forward. Lila gasped. It's coming closer. The whispering stopped abruptly. Silence crashed down, thick and absolute. Then a new sound emerged. A child's giggle.
Soft. Wrong.
Not joyful. Not innocent. It echoed from everywhere at once. Devin stumbled backward into the bedroom door, fumbling for the handle behind him. The door flew open on its own, slamming into the wall with force. Inside the bedroom, the closet door creaked open slowly. Aaron swung the camera toward it. The inside was pitch black. Too black. Darker than the rest of the room. Like the darkness had depth. From inside the closet, something exhaled. A long, slow breath. Cold air rushed outward, frosting visibly in the night vision lens. Marissa grabbed Aaron's arm. We're done. The shadow at the stairs lunged. Not physically attacking, but surging forward in a blur that distorted the camera feed. Static filled the screen. The audio peaked into harsh feedback. Lila screamed. The closet door slammed shut. The bedroom door slammed shut. Every door in the hallway began slamming one after another in rapid succession.
Bang. Bang. Bang.
Like a countdown. The attic hatch above them burst open. Heavy footsteps thundered across the ceiling directly overhead. Not childlike anymore. Heavy. Angry. Aaron grabbed the lantern, shaking it violently until it flickered back to life. Move, he shouted. They ran. The final manifestation. They bolted toward the staircase. But the shadow now blocked the top step completely.
Solid.
Full height. The temperature plummeted again, the air sharp in their lungs. Devin shouted, "Go through it." Marissa didn't hesitate. She lunged forward. As she passed through the shadow, she gasped sharply, like plunging into icy water. Aaron followed. The camera glitched violently as he crossed the same spot, pixels tearing, audio distorting. Lila ran through next, sobbing under her breath. Devin was last. As he reached the top step, something grabbed the back of his hoodie. Not imagined. Not suggested. Physically pulled. He jerked backward half a step. Aaron spun around, grabbing Devin's arm and yanking him forward with all his strength. The fabric stretched, then snapped free. They tumbled down the staircase together, scrambling toward the front door. Behind them, the whisper returned. But this time it wasn't saying, "Stay." It was laughing.
Low.
Layered.
Close.
Aaron flung the front door open. Cold night air flooded in. They didn't stop running until they reached the van parked at the end of the gravel driveway. Aaron slammed the van door shut and locked it immediately. The house loomed behind them, silent.
Still. Dark.
As if nothing had happened. Devin looked down at his hoodie. 3 long, pale marks ran vertically down the fabric where it had been pulled. Not torn. Just pressed. Like fingers had gripped tightly and then released. Marissa stared at the house, through the windshield. "We're not reviewing footage here." Aaron nodded. "Not tonight." As he set the camera down on the dashboard, it flickered one last time. Just for a second. And in the reflection of the van's windshield, behind them, a tall shadow stood on the front porch. Watching. The porch light, long disconnected from power, flicked on for exactly 3 seconds. Long enough to illuminate the empty doorway behind it. Then it went dark again. The house returned to stillness. But none of them would ever agree on one detail later. When they crossed through the shadow at the top of the stairs, it didn't feel like something they passed through. It felt like something they passed into. And something followed them back out. The house that wouldn't stay quiet. There's a stretch of road just outside a fading Ohio mill town where the streetlights thin out and the air feels heavier than it should. At the very end of that road stands a narrow, aging Victorian house with chipped white paint and tall windows that reflect nothing but darkness at night. Locals call it the Whitmore House. Built in 1893, during the town's iron and railroad boom, the house once belonged to a wealthy family who hosted lavish gatherings under gaslit chandeliers. Over the decades, as factories shut down and families moved away, the house changed hands again and again. A boarding home, a tailor shop, a short-lived antique store. But the stories always circled back to one thing. People heard things inside that house that couldn't be explained. Soft footsteps when no one else was home. Doors closing gently, never slamming, as if someone were careful not to be heard. And, on rare nights, the faint sound of a woman humming somewhere upstairs. No official records mention tragedy. No newspaper clippings confirm rumors. But the whispers persist. And sometimes, whispers are enough. The investigation. Late last October, a small paranormal investigation team called Night Watch Files decided to spend the night inside the Whitmore house. The group consisted of 4 people. Aaron, the skeptical tech specialist. Marissa, the host and lead investigator. Devin, audio technician. Lila, researcher and historian. They weren't thrill seekers looking for attention. Their channel focused on quiet documentation, controlled experiments, baseline readings, minimal dramatics. When they arrived just after sunset, the house stood silent against a purple sky. No wind. No birds. Just stillness. Aaron unlocked the door with permission from the current owner, a distant relative who refused to step inside anymore. The moment the door creaked open, Lila paused. "Does it smell like flowers?" she asked. Aaron sniffed. "Old wood."
Dust.
"That's it." Marissa stepped in first. "Let's document everything." Slow and steady. Inside, the house felt preserved in time. Wallpaper peeled in long curls from the walls. A grand staircase curved upward into shadow. A chandelier hung crooked, its crystals cloudy with age. They began setting up cameras, one in the parlor, one at the foot of the stairs, one in the upstairs hallway, and one in the basement. The basement was the room locals warned them about most. That's where previous owners reported feeling watched. That's where the humming was said to be loudest. The basement session. Just before midnight, the team gathered in the basement. It was unfinished, stone walls, exposed beams, a dirt floor partially covered in uneven concrete. The temperature dropped noticeably compared to upstairs. Aaron checked the thermometer. 7 degrees colder than the main floor. Marissa placed a small motion trigger ball in the center of the room. If moved, it would light up. Devin positioned audio recorders near the back wall. Lila read from her notes. The Whitmore family's matriarch, Eleanor Whitmore, reportedly held private gatherings here in the 1920s. No documentation on what kind of gatherings. Aaron smirked. Book club, probably. Marissa ignored him and addressed the darkness. If anyone is here with us tonight, she said calmly, we're not here to disturb you. We just want to understand. Silence. The kind of silence that feels thick. Devin cleared his throat. Can you give us a sign? Nothing. Aaron shifted his weight. The floor creaked beneath him. Marissa tried again. If you're here, you can move the ball in the center of the room. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. Then, a soft scraping sound came from the far corner. Everyone froze. Aaron whispered, that wasn't one of us. The ball didn't light up. Nothing visibly moved. But the sound was unmistakable, like fabric dragging lightly across stone. Lila's voice lowered. Did anyone else feel that? Feel what? Devin asked. Like a shift in the air. Before anyone could respond, Marissa's shoulders jerked slightly backward. She gasped. Aaron spun around. What happened? Marissa reached behind her, brushing at the back of her jacket. Something tugged me. Like what? I don't know. It felt like someone pulled my hood. Aaron immediately checked the footage on the handheld monitor connected to the basement camera. The screen showed all 4 of them sitting in a semicircle. And then, clear as day, the back of Marissa's hoodie lifted slightly. Not dramatically. Not violently. But enough to pull the fabric backward for a brief second before falling flat again. No one was behind her. No loose wires. No hanging objects. Just empty space. Aaron's jaw tightened. Okay. That's weird. Devin swallowed. Could be airflow. There's no vent down here, Lila said quietly. Marissa's breathing slowed as she steadied herself. If that was you, she said carefully into the darkness, thank you for responding. But please don't touch us. The temperature dropped another 2 degrees. Upstairs, footsteps. At 1:17 a.m., while reviewing footage in the living room, they heard it. A slow step overhead. Then another. All 4 sets of eyes lifted toward the ceiling. Aaron whispered, no one's up there. The upstairs hallway camera feed flickered briefly on their monitor, then stabilized. Marissa leaned closer. Rewind that. Aaron scrubbed back 10 seconds. The hallway was empty. Then, just at the edge of the frame near the far bedroom door, something shifted. Not a figure. Not clearly. More like a distortion in the air, as if heat rippled through a narrow space. The bedroom door moved. Not wide. Just enough to create a thin black gap. And then it slowly closed again. No slam. No force. Just deliberate movement. Lila's voice trembled slightly. That door was shut earlier. Maybe it wasn't latched, Aaron muttered, though his tone lacked conviction. Another footstep echoed above them. This one faster. Followed by what sounded like something light running across the floor. Marissa stood. We're going upstairs. The hallway. The air upstairs felt heavier than before. The long hallway stretched ahead, lit only by their mounted camera lights. Each step on the wooden floorboards produced a hollow echo. Halfway down the hall, Devin stopped. Do you hear that?
Faint.
Almost too faint to notice. A soft humming. Not melodic. Not quite music. Just a low, rhythmic tone. It seemed to come from behind the last door on the left. Lila's eyes widened. That used to be Eleanor Whitmore's bedroom. Marissa approached slowly. We're going to open this door, she announced, voice steady despite the tension. She reached for the handle. Cold. Unnaturally cold. She twisted it. The door creaked inward. The room beyond was empty. No furniture. No decorations. Just bare floorboards and peeling wallpaper. The humming stopped immediately. Devin checked the temperature gun. Dropped 5 degrees in this room alone. Aaron scanned the corners with a flashlight. No speakers. No animals. No vents. Marissa stepped inside. "If you're here, we're listening." Silence answered. Then, from behind them, a single clear knock. Not from inside the room. From a hallway. All four turned at once. The hallway stood empty. But the upstairs hallway camera, still running, had captured something none of them noticed in real time.